heads of state and government, DSG Amina Mohammed, ministers, private sector, and civil society representatives, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor to deliver closing remarks on what has been a productive deliberation of the second UN Food System Summit, UNFSS Addis. As we are concluding this summit, we live with a renewed aspiration and heightened determination. We came here to take stock, and we advance with a mandate for action. At a time when the international community is going through daunting challenge in the implementation of Agenda 2030, and SDG targets are regressing by nearly 20%. One thing that we cannot afford to disregard is the noble human cause of eliminating hunger and building a resilient food system. As our deliberations and debates have confirmed, the story of the past few years is marked with a powerful contrast. We have seen an unprecedented progress where individual countries have contributed to a decline in a global hunger, with parallel gains in access to safe water, the conservation of the environment through green initiatives, social protection, as well as infrastructure development in agro-food industry. This is further expanded by a coalition of 130 countries that have put forth a national pathway for transformation. However, while we celebrate this progress, we shall ask ourselves the hardest and yet the most valid questions. How can, in an age of cutting-edge technology, we accept that over 2 billion people still cannot afford a healthy diet? How can, in some countries, markets and warehouses overflow with food, while in others, a child still goes to bed hungry? And that's why our work is not merely a technical deliberation, it is a moral imperative for a genuine action. Therefore, the food system agenda is indeed a call for dignity, freedom, and justice for humanity. I ask all of us, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, what really makes this Addis Summit timely and relevant? What are the responsibilities we ought to shoulder? How do we translate these vital discussions into actions? I'm sure it is all reflected in the outcome document and the call to action made by the UN Secretary General and DSG Amin as well. As we conclude the stock take of the UN Food System Summit, it is important to build and reflect on the following viable considerations. First, to governments. If the 130 national pathways are the blueprint, now is the time to boost them with investment in resilient infrastructure, ranging from water storage to irrigation schemes. Countries in close proximity should bring their resources together to install manufacturing for local production of fertilizers and other strategic commodities for agriculture and agro-processing. Second, to the United Nations. The UN shall continue to lead this grand movement of food systems. The UN and its specialist agencies should create platforms that make available data on financing and the know-how on accessing. These platforms can address the knowledge gap and the accessibility challenge that states and private sectors are experiencing. Third, to investors and financiers. You have proven that scaling up is possible. We should target meeting at least a third of the 400 trillion USD required finance for food system transformation. For the private sector, we now have a business compendium of 15 investment-ready models. These are not theories, they are bankable opportunities. Though invest in small and medium-scale enterprise that form the backbone of our communities. In addition, agribusiness should follow a community approach that supports equitable distribution of gains among all our actors in the food value chain. Fourth, the civil society has a unique role to play an effective public mobilization through result-oriented efforts that target sustained solution to the cultural, knowledge, and administrative barriers that impede effective implementation of policies. Civil societies may champion accountability and bring the voice of women, youth, and indigenous peoples from the marriages to the very center of decisions. Fifth, to the youth. The future of humanity depends on the capability of our youth to take over the agroeconomy and apply technology to attain improved productivity. The food sovereignty agenda that puts smallholders at its center require youth engagement and innovation. As stewards of national resource, youth should take active parts in efforts to restore nature and biodiversity. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, I would like you all to join me in expressing our deepest gratitude to the entire UN system, the leadership and the staff, for keeping the development and the food system agenda alive despite the challenges the UN is currently facing. DSG Amina, may I take this moment to thank you and the UN, the entire UN system, for the formidable work you are doing over the years, and thank you very much for that. In this effective global action on the food system, in any other agenda cannot be successful unless centered on multilateral action with the UN at its center. Ethiopia has always been and will remain committed for this effort and advance the food security agenda. And let's leave Addis Ababa not just with agreements, but also with conviction, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Mr. President. May take your seat on stage.